What did you learn about yourself that you feel like changed how you show up here since you've been back?
Well, an appreciation for what I have.
Mm,
Instead of complaining about what you don't have, appreciate what you do have. And that's what had happened for me. I was like, you know what? Sometimes I complain about the electric bill, but at least I have electricity, stuff
mhm.
like that. So, and food, it's like, oh, I don't have enough to eat. But those people really they didn't catch anything. They didn't have anything to eat. They don't have a grocery store to go to. So that was the kind of appreciation. Like, you might complain about the stuff that you have, but you have to appreciate and be grateful for what you do.
Greetings and welcome to the Elevated Flow podcast. I'm your host, Coach Flo, aka the Black Rowing Queen. The Elevated Flow podcast spotlights elite and everyday female athletes, mostly over 40, sharing how they elevate their game and their flow in sports, wellness, and life. These are powerful stories of strength, resilience, wisdom, and inspiration to help women stay active, age strong, and pass the torch to the next generation. Today, I have a very special guest with me, a woman whose journey proves that movement, curiosity, and creativity don't have an expiration date. Please help me welcome Miss Vicki Andrews to the Elevated Flow podcast.
Well, thank you for
Welcome.
having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to come on. I'm so excited about our conversation.
Me too.
Awesome. So let me give you a formal introduction. Vicki spent over 30 years in the legal profession, retiring as an intellectual property paralegal, where she helped prepare legal documents to support investors in securing U.S. patents for their ideas, literally helping innovation come to life. While she's always been interested in fitness, Vicki chose a path that fits her lifestyle and her joy, which is walking. After 6 months of training, she completed the San Diego Marathon, walking all 26.2 miles in under 7 hours. Impressive. That's discipline and determination in motion. Today, Vicki stays active through walking, biking, and hiking, and she brings just as much creativity to her life off the trail as she does on the trail. She's a published author, a former performance poet, and an avid jigsaw puzzle enthusiast. So clearly, she loves both big picture goals and putting pieces together. Vicki's story is all about choosing what works for you, staying curious, and improving your body in ways that fuel your life and not drain it. I'm excited for you all to hear how she continues to elevate her flow. Please help me welcome Miss Vicki Andrews. Yes. All right. So we are just going to jump right into this conversation. First, we're
Okay.
going to start with, how do you usually describe this chapter of your life?
Describe it as very interesting and fulfilling. Ever since I retired, I've been doing some international travel, and along with that comes some hiking. So it's an interesting time in my life. I'm very happy right now with what I'm doing.
Awesome. So when you look back over your life and career, what do you feel like was the biggest pivot points in your life?
The biggest pivot points? Really sure what the pivot points would be. You mean towards exercising and being
No,
healthy?
just life. Like, were you always in the legal profession, or did you pivot and change careers at any point? Or
I was always
go
I
ahead.
was always in the legal profession. I was always in the legal profession. I was a legal secretary for many, many years.
Mm,
And then I went to school in San Diego State University and I did some work in legal field. And then I became a paralegal and I stumbled into intellectual property. I was in civil litigation for many, many years. And then I became intellectual property, which was much more interesting, helping inventors get their inventions patented.
absolutely.
That was
Absolutely.
a lot of fun. That was a pivot for me.
Okay. Now, was there ever a pivot as far as your health is concerned? The reason that I know you said you've always been into fitness, but was there ever a point where you had to pivot because of any health challenges that you experienced?
Well, no, let's see, 18 years ago, I discovered that I had a brain tumor, non-cancerous, a meningioma in my right
Mm,
frontal lobe. And
wow.
after I survived that surgery and everything after that, I was really concerned about my health and making sure that I didn't have any other issues, and I was able to survive that, continue to walk, and do everything that I needed to do. And that was a shock because I didn't even know that it was there.
How was it discovered?
Well, there was a study in San Diego for people who were having memory issues, and I saw it in a
Mm,
newspaper, and I just decided to check it out. And it included an MRI. So I did the
wow.
MRI. The first, it was a two-part study. I did the MRI, and in the MRI, it showed a really short, like a golf-sized tumor in the right frontal lobe that I didn't even know was there. My head wasn't sticking out or anything; it was just there. But I was having a lot of memory issues. I couldn't remember a lot of stuff.
Mm,
So I was like, something is going on. So when I stumbled upon that study, which was a paid study, and when you live in California, you need as much money as you can possibly get.
right.
So I decided to do it. And then they discovered that and we operated on it and got it out. But it didn't impact my brain. It was just pushing it back. And so a lot of my memories are gone from when my kids were little and stuff like that. I don't remember any of those things. They told me that my
Really?
memories might come back, but they haven't, which is very disappointing to me, but I survived it and I'm thriving. I'm doing really well.
Amen, amen. So when you look at do you have pictures and things to look at from that time of the times that you
Yes.
don't remember?
Yes, I do. I have photo albums
And
of
how
the
does that
kids.
feel to look at them and not actually remember that time? Or does it kinda spark something in you?
It makes me sad because I look at them and I don't really remember them. The
Mm.
memories are just gone. It's sad, but I'm glad I do have the pictures because without them, I would have absolutely nothing.
Right, right, right. And then just to think about actually stumbling, it's
Yep.
like everything happens for a reason, stumbling across
Yes.
that study, especially because in the African American community, we usually are very skeptical about studies.
Yes.
So for you
Yes.
to actually say, I'm going to do this, that's
It
really
was so
powerful.
weird. The way I stumbled upon the article was in this little paper called The Reader in San Diego, and I just happened to be looking at it, and I saw that, and I was like, "Ooh," and I was having memory issues, so I was like, "Oh, you know what? I think I'll do that." But really, my motivation was the money that they were paying.
Right.
But it was really weird the way I stumbled upon it, and that I followed through and got
Right.
the information that I didn't know that I needed by
Right,
doing
right,
that.
right. It was absolutely meant to be. Thank God for
Yes,
that. Thank God for
yes,
that.
absolutely, yeah,
I have a friend that works in the pharmaceutical industry, and she's always talking about, more Black people needing to, volunteer or whether it's volunteer or paid to be a part of these studies. Because a lot of
uh-huh,
times in the medical industry, just historically, we weren't a part of the studies. And there
right.
are some differences between the people that they normally have in those studies and African American people.
Absolutely,
So,
there's a
yeah.
big difference.
Yeah. So when it comes to sports, did you play sports when you were younger?
No, I did not get an opportunity to do that. No, my mother
Mhm.
was strictly against that. There were 5 of us, and my mother was a single parent, so
Mhm.
she didn't have the energy, the money, or the time to do that kinda stuff
Mm.
with us. We were in segregated schools, so I had to go really, really far to the school that I went to, the high school that I went to in Denver, Colorado.
Oh,
So, anything
Colorado.
after
Okay.
yeah, anything to do after school, that wasn't happening because there was no way to get me back home.
Mm.
I wish I had, but since I've gotten older, my son is a bodybuilder and he's
Okay.
also a personal trainer, and I've trained with him quite a bit. And now he's actually a professional. He just recently won a competition and now he's a professional bodybuilder. So
Okay.
I'm learning quite a bit from him. And I think he says he gets his strength from me. I don't know, but I'll take the compliment.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, you gotta take the compliment. You know how we are as Black women.
Yes,
Well, since you spent over 30 years in the legal profession, especially in intellectual property, how did you said that you weren't always in intellectual property, you started off in litigation. How
right.
did you transition or pivot into intellectual property?
I think I was tired of the civil litigation, and where I was working, it was heavy stress, and I used to work
Mm,
all night, and I
mm,
had little kids, but when we had a trial and litigation, something coming up, we had to work all night, and I got tired of that, so I looked for something different, and I was able to find another law firm in San Diego that was willing to train me, to teach me
mm.
how to do the paperwork and stuff like that that you need for intellectual property, and I stumbled upon it pretty much,
Okay.
and found out that I really enjoyed it. It was better. It was not as much stress as
Mhm.
litigation is. Yeah, and I
No,
was looking for a less stressful situation.
right, right, right. So what would you say to corporations that have those kind of high stress environments, what they can do to help alleviate some of that stress for their workers?
And giving you a lot more support. You may have
Mm,
I did have assistants and people that helped me, but not always because they were helping everybody. So to have
mm,
some support when you have a really heavy log of work to do, that would be better. And also allowing for time off so that you can
mm.
regroup, reset your brain, and come back fresh.
And
Even though they give you the time off, it
mhm,
was hard to get it. It's one thing to
mm.
have it on paper, it's another thing for them to actually give it to you because they
Right,
need you. And
right,
so
right, right.
sometimes they would say, "Well, no, we're in the middle of this or middle of that, and so now is not a good time." And
Mm,
so you do need to take off work to refresh your mind and your brain and your
absolutely.
soul.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What do you feel like could be done aside from the support in the culture of the corporation to help with that? What other type of support as far as aside from just assisting with like case loads, if you could think about it in any corporate setting?
I don't know, they're pretty rigid. I can't think of anything that they could do differently or would want to do differently. They're very rigid in the way that they handle things. It's their way or the highway, so you just gotta get
Mm,
with the program. So I think if they were a little less stringent, that would be helpful,
yeah,
but it's a culture that it's been formed the way that it is, and that's the way. And when you're a paralegal, you have to charge clients for every minute that you work on anything of theirs. Just like an attorney, they have to bill their time. As a
right.
paralegal, you have to bill your time. And that's extremely stressful. Every time you make a phone call, every piece of paper that you touch, all of that has to be billed. And that's
Okay.
very, very difficult because if you have a 7.5 hour day, 8 hour day, they want you to bill at least 7 hours. And that's really hard to track everything that you do. And you build in point 6 minute increments. So every 6 minutes, you need to be billing somebody. Yeah, when you hire an attorney and it's a lot of
Really?
money, that's why. Yeah. And even the
Okay.
paralegals, just like the attorneys, you've got to bill the client for every second that you touch their work.
I can only imagine
It's
because
very hard.
at one time I was a mental health therapist and we
Okay.
had to do the billing too, and yeah, I wasn't very good at that.
Yeah. I wasn't
It
very
like
good
you
at it
said,
either.
it's very, very hard to account for all of the time,
Uh-huh.
and for some reason, I was always short, like, "Okay, well, I don't get like, I feel like I'm doing it right and doing"
Uh-huh.
yeah. Sometimes in those type of professions where you have to do the billing, the paperwork kinda takes away from the actual work that you're doing,
Right.
and that was definitely the case for me with mental health therapy. Yeah.
Yes, that was my problem. I hardly ever got the hours that I needed to get, but I was busy for the whole day, but it was hard to track because you want go from one patent application to another patent application to an office action. So it's all these different clients that you're juggling. So it's very hard to pinpoint, oh, I spent 5 minutes on this one. I spent 30 minutes on this one. So I did a lot of guessing, but even with guessing,
Mhm.
I was a lot of times falling short.
Well, with that, what did you learn about managing detailed deadlines and expectations with that kind of work?
Well, you just have to be on top of it. I did a lot of taking notes, paying attention to what time did I start something, when did I stop. And sometimes I was very good at, but because I was juggling so many things, sometimes I would miss things. So you got to be more detail oriented in terms of keeping track, I think, on pen and paper more than on the computer.
Right. So it sounds like, well, you said that it was very stressful. Do you
Very.
feel like you ever dealt with burnout? And if you did, how did you handle that?
I dealt with the burnout. I just kept moving. I had kids, I had bills. It's like you just got to keep it moving and you can't really dwell a lot on how stressed out you are. That's when I started
Mm,
taking walks and I felt a little bit better when I was outside walking and breathing fresh air and my head
absolutely.
would clear once I took a walk. So then I started doing that more and more. And the weather, I'm from San Diego too. So in San Diego, it was just beautiful almost all the
Right.
time. There
Absolutely.
was no excuse not to get out there and enjoy the fresh air, and then when I realized how much it was helping me mentally, I
Right.
did it a whole lot more. And I wanted to work out at gyms, but I didn't really like gyms. They were kinda stinky to me, and I didn't like the sweatiness and all the waste. They smell funny and people sweating and ugh. So I didn't like that, but I wanted to be physically fit, and the thing that I knew that I could do was walk. I had strong legs, I could walk, and I'm a fast walker, I'm a speed walker. So
Okay.
that's why I ended up doing the marathon. I was like, "Well, let me just try,
Okay.
let me just see." So I trained for it and finished it. But I had to identify what my strengths were, and going to the gym wasn't it. And if
Mm.
that's all I could do, I probably wouldn't have.
Wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's important that you find what it is that you like. A lot of times people fail at working out and setting goals as far as that's concerned because they feel like it has to look the same as somebody else. So it's
Mhm.
important that you were able to find what it is that works for you in your life and
Yeah.
have success in it. Looking back on your legal career, what would you say that you learned that you still use in this season of your life? If you're leading high performers and wondering why they burn out, disengage, or plateau, this is for you. Former athletes and high achievers don't struggle because they lack drive or discipline. They struggle because the supportive systems that once supported them and fueled their growth are gone. I partner with organizations that want more than output. They want thriving leaders, retention, and sustainable performance. Because true wellness and growth aren't perks, they're fundamental. If you're ready to build a culture that supports the whole person at work and beyond, let's talk. Click the link in the description to explore how we can partner to prioritize workplace wellness. Now, let's get back to the episode.
To be organized. I learned
Mhm.
how to prioritize, compartmentalize, because you have to do that. So I do that in my own life now. When I have certain things and bills to pay or this to do or that to do, I know how to compartmentalize and take
Mm.
one task at a time. But sometimes I get a little bit in my head and I'll run from this to that to this to that. And then I say, "Oh, Vicky, stop, calm down. Just handle one thing at a time because you can't do it all at once. And if you try to do everything at once, you're going to miss something." So every
Right.
now and then, when I get that hectic feeling, I have to pull myself back. And that is also from working in the law firm. I would get hectic because there was so much going on. I would have to pull myself back and say, "You can only do one thing at a time. So calm down. Just do this one thing, get that task done first, and then you
Right.
can move on to something else." So I do that now in my life because there are days when there's a lot going on, and I
Mhm.
just have to stop and tell myself, "Vicky, just do this one thing, and then when you get that done, go to the next thing." Otherwise, it can be life can be overwhelming if you don't figure that out.
Right, right, right. So I want to ask you two more questions as it relates to your career. One, what did you get any fulfillment? How did you feel about actually helping people create the patents?
Well, but what happens is you file the patent application and then the US Patent Office sends you back a rebuttal of sorts.
Mhm.
And you do these, they're called office actions, and you keep working on those over and over. And when you finally are successful, when a patent examiner says, "Okay, this is good, we can move forward," that's very fulfilling. And when you finally get an actual patent that you worked on and you helped this person get their invention
Right.
patented, it's just an amazing feeling, just amazing. But it takes years and a lot of work and a lot
Really?
of money. Oh yeah, it takes years to get a patent patented. They put up a lot of objections, but every time you're able to get those objections and success.
If you can remember, can you think about how many you actually helped successfully get a patent during your career?
Oh, I have no idea. Like I said, it takes many, many years. So I don't know how many we actually did. I remember maybe 3 that we actually got the patent in the mail, but there were a lot. There were a lot, but
Okay.
it was more
So
than 3.
hundreds
I
over
don't know.
30
Yeah,
years
I would
or
say, yeah. Yeah, I would say hundreds. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
It takes a lot of years to get a patent, and the thing is, I'm not the only one who would work on these particular ones. I mean,
Right.
there are a lot of paralegals, so there are a lot of hands that touch things. So
Mhm.
I may not have been involved from start to finish, but at some
Right.
point I was involved in it, and then it gets patented after that. So I would say, yeah, hundreds.
But the
It's
team
exciting.
feels like it's a win for the whole team,
Oh,
even if you didn't
absolutely.
right, right.
Yeah, everybody who's involved, you get the credit for it, it's amazing.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so we're going to talk about your active lifestyle. You like to hike, bike, and walk. And
Mhm.
we actually met maybe a couple of months ago.
Uh-huh.
A couple of months ago on a hike here in Dallas. So before we go to that, how did you go from California to Dallas? How did you make that move?
Well, it was actually as a result of a tragedy. My younger brother, who was 48 years old at the time, living in Colorado, he got hit on his motorcycle and killed. And
Oh.
I was in San Diego at the time by myself, and my children were here in Texas. And when he was alive, he would always say to me, Vicky, go be with your family. Why are you in California by yourself? Go be with your family. He doesn't know that I did it because he passed away. I didn't, he died in August. In
Mhm.
October, I was in Texas. So that's what brought me here, the death of my brother and my kids that were here. So that's why I moved.
Okay. So how do you like Texas?
I've been here 16 years. I'm still trying to get used to it, actually. I'm finding it
Really?
difficult. Yeah, I'm finding it difficult to find friends, to maintain friendships. But part of that is when I was in the legal profession, I've only been retired 3 years, but while I was working, it's predominantly white people. And I have some distrust a little bit. So I don't really befriend them. I mean, work relationships only, but outside of the office, no. So it was hard for me once I got here to make the friends. When I first got here for the first 6 years, I worked out of my home as a
Mm.
paralegal. So then it was really hard to get to know the city. It was hard to get to know people. And so then I decided after being at home for like 6 years, I decided to go for a law firm. So I started working in downtown Dallas. And at that time, I did make some acquaintances, but not really friends. So
Mm.
that's been the most difficult part is learning the city, making friends like I had when I was in California. I'm
Hmm.
still trying to do it. I'm still trying to get friends.
That is so interesting because I've just been here for 2.5 years
Oh, okay.
and I'm finding the same thing. So that's interesting. I was just telling a client of mine earlier this morning that I was so surprised. She lives in Houston and she just has such a hard time. She's had a hard time adjusting for a lot of different reasons. But I'm thinking, wow, after 4 years, like, it seems like, but you're saying 16. Wow.
16. But go ahead.
I think her name is Mel. She's a motivational speaker, author. She talks about the different stages of life where
Mhm.
you become friends with people when you have friends, the different stages of friendships.
Oh,
And
yes.
she says, like, once you're in your 20s, after you go to college, like everybody goes to different parts of their life. Like some people may get married, have children, that's their path. Some people go straight to work. Some people start businesses, whatever it is, those
Mhm.
people that you may have been friends with for the 4 years that you were in college. After college, it just changes the nature of the friendship. And then
Mhm.
wherever you go, it may be harder to find friends. I don't know. When I came here, I was like, oh, wherever I go, I always meet people. I'm going to have friends. But I find the
Yeah.
same thing where I'm like, okay, I'm around people sometimes, but I think that people have been a little bit strange. I've had people that I've hung out with and they're like, oh, yeah, let's get together again. And then
Nothing.
something will
Cricket.
happen and then they're like, they don't call. You're like, it's just so weird. But
It is.
I did get associated with the Black Women Who organization
Mhm.
where I met your daughter.
Yes.
We went on a camping trip together and I've I feel like I'm forming some relationships from that group. So
Mhm.
that's nice, especially because it's Black women, Black and brown women that
Yes.
actually enjoy the outdoors.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, speaking of the outdoors, something that I wanted
Okay.
to talk to you about is that trip to Peru that you took.
Uh,
I think it was
yes.
called, is it Machu Picchu?
Yes.
Did I
Machu
say it
Picchu.
right? Okay.
Yeah, you said all
Yeah.
right. Uh-huh.
Tell me about and that's another thing about the outdoors is, we hear so much like, oh, Black people don't do the outdoors, Black people don't camp, Black people don't do, and it's like, no, there are a lot of us. I did a presentation with the Black Women Who's annual launch, and I was talking
Oh.
about we need to, as Black people, get back to nature because that is a part of who we are. We've been
Mhm.
told and conditioned to think that we're not, but we enjoy the water, we enjoy the blue and green spaces. So yes, talk to me about that trip because I
Oh,
think then you said you were the only black person then too, right?
no, I wasn't the only black person. I was
Okay.
the only black person, well, the only black person in my age group who went to the top of the mountain.
Okay.
And the elevation there to get to the summit is like 10,111 feet. And a
Mm,
lot of people were having problems with the altitude, and they were
okay.
having altitude sickness. I didn't have that. And I've never had a problem with the altitude, but I lived in Colorado for a while too. So maybe that's why, I don't know. But the elevation to go to the top of Machu Picchu, I can't remember. It took maybe an hour, hour and a half to get to the summit, but it was well, it was a little wet.
Mhm.
And it was a little treacherous because the formation of the rocks is not like a regular sidewalk or anything like that. You're in the mountains, and you're
Okay.
getting to the top through these ruggedy steps that are uneven. Some are short, some are long, some are tall. And I had a walking stick, thank God for that, because you really, really needed that to steady yourself. But when
Mm,
we finally got to the top, it was an amazing view. I mean, I was like, look at God. My goodness, this place is, I've never seen anything like it. And of course, I've been around mountains, but that place, it was in the Andes. So it was amazing. And I was glad that I was able to do what other people were not able to do, which is go to the summit. It
wow.
was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what
Beautiful.
what made you even want to go on that trip and do that hike?
I just want to see the world.
Okay.
And that was just I'm with another group, travel group, and that was something on the list. I'm like, well, why not try Peru? And I checked with one of my girlfriends so I could have a roommate, and she's in San Diego, and she said, yeah, let's go. So I had a roommate, and we was on. It was on and popping, and we went, and it was an amazing, amazing. It was an amazing trip. We saw a
Mm,
lot of different things. But they're very primitive. Like we went to what was called the floating islands, and those
mhm.
were actually islands that were floating. They have to anchor them, and we got off to one of the people, one of the
Really?
yeah, one of the islands we got off, they have no electricity, no running water, no, I mean, nothing that we are used to in the modern world, but they make little trinkets and stuff like that. That's how they make their money, but they fish, and they had a way of drying the fish out. And it was like, well, they don't have bathrooms, they don't have toilets. It had nothing. And I didn't even know we had parts of the world like that, except maybe in Africa, but this was Peru, and it was very primitive, but it humbled me being
Mm,
there among those people and saying, we really are blessed with the things that we have. We need to show an appreciation for it, because there are some people who don't have anything like this that we have at all. So it was a beautiful trip. I learned a lot about myself and a little bit more about the world, which is what I want to do.
yeah. What did you learn about yourself that you feel like changed how you show up here since you've been back?
Well, an appreciation for what I have.
Mm,
Instead of complaining about what you don't have, appreciate what you do have. And that's what had happened for me. I was like, you know what? Sometimes I complain about the electric bill, but at least I have electricity,
mhm.
stuff like that. So, and food, it's like, oh, I don't have enough to eat. But those people really didn't have, they didn't catch anything. They didn't have anything to eat. They don't have a grocery store to go to. So that was the kind of appreciation. Like, you might complain about the stuff that you have, but you have to appreciate and be grateful for what you do have. So that's why I was looking for a sign that says grateful. And I finally found one. So I look at that every day. I am
Mm,
grateful. Stop complaining. Be grateful for what you do have, because there's a lot of people who don't have anything like what you have.
wow.
So that's what it
Wow.
taught me.
That's amazing. So what other trip is on your bucket list? Do you have a bucket list?
I wanna go to all 7 continents, and the last 2 are Australia and the Antarctica. Chances of me going to Antarctica is kinda slim, but Australia is a trip that I'm going to do, I think, in February of 2027. But so
Okay.
far, so far I've been to, Paris, and when I was in Paris, let me just tell you this, walk to the have you heard of the Arc of Triumph?
Mm-mm.
It's an arc there. There I took 324 steps in a narrow, steep staircase to get to the top of the Arc of Triumph. That also
Wow.
gets to show you my ability to be athletic.
Mhm.
I walked all the way. When we got there, my girlfriend and I, when we got there, we didn't realize that the elevator was broke. So we had to
Oh,
take this narrow staircase and they didn't tell us. So it was a steep, narrow
excuse me.
spiral staircase. So once you were on it, you had
Mm.
to keep going. There was no going back down. You had to keep going. It was 324 steps to get to the top. But once you were
Wow.
at the top, you could see all over Paris from up at the top. It was a beautiful adventure. I've done a lot of different things. Also, what else I did? I kayaked in Belize to try and save a
Hmm.
friend of mine who had got swept out to sea on an inner tube. And
Huh?
me and another she was on an inner tube and the wind picked up and just swept her out. And we
So you
jumped in a
guys took a
kayak.
kayak to go rescue her?
Yes, me and another
Wow.
lady, and I'd never been in a kayak before, but it was a dire situation. We finally got to her, but the wind was really bad. So even when we were in the kayak, it kept turning, it kept spinning, and because the wind was so rough. But we finally got to her. We were on a private island in Belize, so there was there was nobody to help us. It was just me and 7 other women. So that was
Wow.
a dangerous situation. But I also learned how much strength I have to row that kayak because I'd never been in one before. So I've been surprised of myself with the things that I can do. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, do you mind? Let me see. Should I ask this or you're not supposed to tell our age?
Age 70.
Really?
Yes, I'm 70. Yeah. And when I did the marathon, I think I was 49 when I did the
Okay.
marathon. And then when I did Paris, I was 67. I wrote these down so I could remember. And then when I went to Belize, I mean, not Belize, Machu Picchu, 70 years old, the only 70-year-old who did it. Yeah.
Wow.
And
That
that
is
was just
so
a few months
awesome.
ago. It is.
Wow. Yeah, I
I'm
think
glad.
you had just come back like the weekend that
Yes.
we met or the weekend before.
Probably the
So,
month before.
okay. So what even made you want to do a marathon? And what was it like to actually train for it? Did you train with a group?
I
That
had
was
trained
three
with a
different
group
questions. I'm sorry. What made you want
that
to do what made you want to do the marathon?
I just wanted to challenge myself to see if I could. And I also wanted to make some more friends and I wanted to get out and about. And like I said, I knew I can't do a lot of stuff. I was thinking athletically, but I can walk. So I was like, let me see if I can walk the marathon. So it took like 6 months of training before we actually did the marathon. The training was like 18 miles. So, but the marathon is 26.2 miles. And I did
Right.
okay till mile 22. I got a blister on my heel and I thought I was gonna have
Mm.
to stop. But somebody saw me getting ready to take my shoe off, and this lady came up to me. She said, "No, no, no, don't take off your shoe." So she tied my shoe super tight so that my foot was almost numb. And then I was able to finish the marathon. But I had blisters on top of blisters. But the joy
Really?
at finishing walking 26.2 miles was the best thing I've ever come across because it was an accomplishment that not a lot of people do. And I was able
Right.
to do it. It was hard
After
though.
reading that you walked the marathon, it actually made me want to do a marathon because I used to in my mind, I always wanted to run the marathon. And I
Uh-huh.
got to a point where I was like, "I know I'm not gonna do that." I didn't want to train
Mhm.
for it. I was just like it was a good thought. I had a woman that I used to go to church with back in Los Angeles, and she, at that time, had done 9 marathons, and she wanted to
Wow.
do 10 by the time she was 50, I think it was. And I
Oh,
don't know if she actually completed them or not. But I was just like, I really, really want to run the LA Marathon. But that just sounded so it was something about the running and my knee. I had knee problems and I was just like, no, but I never thought about walking it. So after
yeah,
I
I walked it.
read your bio and you said you walked, I was like, I might be able to put that back on my bucket list.
You absolutely should. Oh, yeah, I walked and I ran a couple of times.
Right.
Me and the other ladies, I trained with, well, 3 of us stayed together. So we ran a little, we walked a little, we ran a little, we walked a little. So it just depended upon our energy level. And it was like, okay, let's go. Let's sprint for a little while. So that's how we did it. But it was mainly, like 80% of it was walking. Yep, you can do. Oh, and if you don't do a full marathon, do a half marathon. That's only 13 miles. So it's a little bit more
Yeah, but
doable. But
I could start there, but just even the
yes.
thought of doing it again, just it motivated me. So aside
Oh,
from the
good.
6 months of physical training, and you said the most you walked was 18 miles, is
Mhm.
there any mental training that goes along with that?
Well, yeah, you have to be mentally strong because your feet start to hurt or your back might start to ache. But I just kept telling myself, Vicky, keep going. You can go. just keep going. Or I would just let my mind think about something else more pleasant, and then just keep moving, but not concentrating on what I was doing. And one of the things I would always do is whenever we did steps, I would just count the steps. I would just concentrate on counting the steps when I was
Mm,
going up steps. And that way it took away feeling burdened by walking the steps. I would just concentrate on counting them. And I still do that to this day. Like on Machu Picchu, I just
mm.
kept counting the steps. I didn't think about how long it was taking or how far high up it was. I just kept counting them. I don't know how many steps I counted, but that's how I focus. I focused on the counting the steps and not taking the steps, if that makes sense. Oh, we dropped
Yes,
again. Oh my
yes.
goodness. Okay.
I do that. There's a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that talks
Okay.
about, man, I hate that I can't think of that step. It's like instead of like looking up when I do steps or even hikes, depending on the how high it is and everything, instead of looking ahead, I'll look down because if you're just like you said, you're counting the steps. If I'm looking down, I'm focusing on that next step instead of looking up to see, oh my God, how much further I have to go. So I do that
Right.
with steps as well. But I always wonder like what it is. I'm pretty athletic and good shape and everything, but it is something about stairs that just takes it out of
Well,
you. I
try
used to live on the
yeah.
3rd floor and I know that there was 40 steps that we had to go up and I would just be winded every time I go up those stairs. It's like I don't get it. But anyway,
Well,
that's awesome.
that's how I do it. I just count them and just keep counting, counting, counting. And before you know it, I look up and I'm at the top.
Right.
Okay.
How did that experience with well, obviously that was really cool though that that woman like tied your shoe because if you took your shoe off, you probably wouldn't have finished, and she knew that.
No.
But
Yeah.
how did that experience change how you view like what you're capable of?
Did that, I was like, "Shoot, I can do anything. I'm invincible." And for a long time, I carried that thought, "You can't tell me nothing. I finished the marathon," because not a lot of people can do it, and I did it. I was successful at it, and so I just felt so good afterwards. There was not because sometimes we get down on ourselves and think negatively but after that, I didn't think negative of myself at all about anything.
So, I said that you're a published author. Tell me
Yes.
about that. What was your book about? What's the name of it? And what motivated you to write your book?
Actually, what motivated me was Terry McMillan. Because I kept reading about how many times you get rejection letters, and that's what I expected to happen after I finished the book. But when I finished it and I sent out
Mhm.
proposals, got two yes, one no, and one maybe. And that was surprising to me. I thought I would get, "No, thank you, try again, something else. We're not interested in your work," but that didn't happen. I got published, like, right away. And I have 3 novels. One is
Mm.
called, Midnight Peril, and I published with Genesis Press, but they don't exist anymore. Midnight Peril, and then I did Lighter Shade of Brown, and then I did a story in an anthology with a whole bunch of other Black authors, which is called Proverbs for the People, and then I did those are all romance and 2 romances, a short story, and then I did a short story no, I did a book of erotica, which I didn't do under Vicki
Mm.
Andrews. I did that under a pseudonym. I ventured into that for just one novel. I don't know if you've ever heard of Donna Hill, but I did that
No.
book with Donna Hill. Oh, okay. She's some of her books have been
Okay.
adapted for Lifetime movies. She kept writing and I kind of stopped. I kind of lost my motivation. I originally I did it just to see if I could do as well as Terry McMillan. And if I had kept it up, I probably would have been as well known as she is. But sometimes I lose my motivation, or if I finish something, I put a goal, I accomplish that goal, then I'm done with it, and I wanna move on to something
Mm.
else. And I probably should change that mindset because if you
Okay.
keep up with something, you can get I could really, really go far, but that's how things have been happening for me.
Yeah,
I
I've had
wanted to do a
that
marathon.
thought.
I wanted to do a marathon. I did 1 marathon. I wanted to write a book. I did my book contract. I wrote 3 books, and so I didn't keep it up the way that I should have. That's what I would encourage people to do. If you start something and you're good at it, keep doing it. Don't just stop to feel like, okay, I accomplished that goal, but keep going. That's what I think. That's what I would tell people to do.
And so that I'm going to ask you a little bit more about what you would tell the younger people when we get to the passing the torch. So that's really good about just, if you want to do something to keep going at it, especially if
Uh-huh.
you're doing well. But it is also, like you said, you may lose your motivation and it's okay to pivot. I know when I was younger, I had all of these different things that I wanted to do in life. And I used to say they're not really connected. And I'm like, why would God give me all of these ideas and all these desires if I'm not going to be able to do them all, But a lot of them I did do. And it was kind of like a one and done. I wanted to do construction at one time. And I had a friend that was a general contractor and I helped him add a room onto a house. And I've done
Uh-huh.
teaching and just all these different things that I was thinking, like I said, when I was younger, that, oh, these are so not connected with each other, but
Uh-huh.
somehow the opportunity presented itself for me to do those things. And some of them I'm like, okay, I've done that. I'm on to the next. But definitely consistency in something that you do want to have more success at. I think that people fail because of that. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
yeah. So next, I wanted to ask you about the jigsaw puzzle. How did you get into that, and how
My
often
goodness.
is that something that you participate in?
I have jigsaw puzzles that I've done and they're framed all around my house. I give them away. I don't know. I just started doing it when I retired. I was kind of bored and I just went and got one and got hooked on it. So I've done so many. I've done like 25, 30 of them and they're framed and they're hanging up here or they're hanging up and Adriana has a couple
Wow.
and yeah, it just was something that I'm good at and solving puzzles. I'm good with word stuff and just crossword puzzles, things like that. So I just picked up a jigsaw puzzle one day and got hooked on that. So I've done quite a matter of fact, I'm waiting right now for one to get delivered. It hasn't come yet, but
Okay.
all
What's
of
the
it's black
largest
art.
one that you've done?
Just 1,000.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done any more than 1,000 pieces. Up to 1,500, 750.
Okay.
But you really need the space for something bigger than that, so I didn't really have the space for like a 1,500 piece puzzle. And I don't even know if I want to tackle one that big. 1,000's good enough. That's good enough. That's
My friend
enough.
has one for 2,000 and I went and visited him the other day and I was like, "Where's your puzzle?" He's like, "Oh, I just put it away." He had it on the table for months and he's like,
Yeah.
"Every once in a while I'll go to one or two pieces," and he's like, it's like, but I think a lot of that has to do with the actual image because that one was
Mhm.
just like so detailed and, it was like a lot of different buildings and, have you found a technique in completing them, and do you, like, time yourself, or is it just something that you do, an hour here and when you get bored?
No, I'm a little obsessive. When I start one, I just want to keep on going. And sometimes I have to make myself go to bed. To put it away, just stop. My technique is just like putting colors together, making sure that I keep the color groups together.
Mhm.
And then sometimes shapes. Once I finally get the colors together, then I do the shapes. I keep certain shapes together. And it's a little bit easier to keep it together like that. But it
Okay.
takes, I mean, 1,000 piece puzzle, it takes me days, hours, but I have to make myself stop because I will just keep going and going and going and take one more piece, just one more piece. And one more piece turns into another couple hours. So I love it. I enjoy it. Yeah, it's good.
So what
Okay.
would
Okay.
you say that jigs I know that as we age, we can increase the neuroplasticity in our brain by doing things that challenge us. So, whether
Uh-huh.
it's learning a new skill or doing jigsaw puzzles and things of that nature, how do you feel like that has helped you maybe stay young and also challenge your brain?
Well, because I think it helps me because it's difficult. It's not an easy task. And when I'm able to solve something that's difficult, I feel really, really good. It's like I'm not an unsmart person. I'm smart. I'm smart. And then I keep challenging myself to show that, yeah, you really are smart. And I'm tenacious. And I'm a stick to it kind of person until I'm done with something. Then it's like, okay, I'm done with that now. and I move
Right.
on to something else. But that's how it helps me. It really makes my brain sharp. And I do a lot of reading, a lot of reading. And when I'm watching television, I prefer to look at game shows and, my knowledge of the world and just, random facts. I like to do those kinds of things too. Actually would love to go on a game show on TV, but I haven't done that. I should have done that when I was living in California because you just go to LA and you could be on a game show, but
Right.
that's the kind of thing like Wheel of Fortune and just Scrabble and
Mhm.
things like that. I love game shows where I have to use my brain and come up with facts that I didn't even know were there, but they're there and they pop up. I like that.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what would you say it's aging strong means to you?
Getting out there and challenging yourself. I mean, I walk, but sometimes I'll run or I'll walk further than the last time that I walked. That's what I think is important. Just keep challenging yourself. Don't just stay complacent with, hey, I went outside for 20 minutes. No, take that 20 minutes and make it 40. Make that 40, an hour. Just keep going, making progress, go further and further. Challenge yourself because if you don't challenge yourself, ain't nobody else going to do it. So you have to do it. But you have to have the stick to itiveness to keep it going and go further
Right.
and further and further and not just be complacent with where you are. That's what's important to me. I don't want to keep being where I am. I want to get better and stronger and happier and more joyful. But that's on me to do, not anybody else. So that's my advice.
Right.
Just keep trying,
So
keep
what would
going.
you say to an older woman that feels like maybe it's too late? You said you're 70, maybe she's, 75 and she feels like, "Oh, it's too late to start something new. I'm too old." What would you say to a woman that may feel that way?
Well, that's just a state of mind. There's a strong mind body connection. And if you put your mind where you want it to be, your body will follow. So when you put your mind and body together, you can accomplish anything. So what I would say to them is just start out slow and then make yourself some goals.
Right.
Like today, I only do 15 minutes. Tomorrow, I'll do 20 and just keep it going. Just add and add and add because your mind and body will work in concert and you'll make those decisions and you'll be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Yes, definitely. What is it?
Yeah, it's a good day.
Every day that you're not under 6 feet, then you should,
Right.
is you still got some life in you to live, so keep going. What do you have a regular self-care routine? I know you're retired, so, you have a lot of flexibility and everything in your schedule. Do you do anything that you feel like is specific to being, like, focusing on your self-care?
No, not you mean like every now and then I might do mani-pedi, that kind of self-care. But basically for me, I just make sure that I get up and I move with my dog at least 3 or 4 times a day. That's my self-care because when I'm
Oh,
out
good.
and I'm walking and I'm breathing fresh air and I'm looking around and I'm hearing sights and sounds and I feel more alive. So that's my self-care. It's just getting out and moving my body. Because it's so easy just to sit here, watch
It is.
TV or something like that. But I make myself, well, plus my dog makes me, I make myself get up, get out. And then when I do, I feel so much better. And it also controls my appetite
Absolutely.
because if I'm busy
Mm,
walking or something like that, I'm not sitting here munching on junk. So
right,
that's
right.
also a good thing for me. It's just
Yeah,
like get out, get working out. And now I don't want to eat all the junk that normally I would probably just be snacking on chips and stuff like that. That's not good for me. And I know it. So every now and then I'll let myself do that. But for the most part, I try to eat clean, try to be healthy, and try to be active.
awesome, awesome.
Mm.
What do you like most about retirement?
That I am not in Texas traffic. I hate driving in traffic. Here it's really, really bad. It's worse than it was in San Diego. That I don't have to get up early and I don't have to get in traffic and I don't have to deal with people who are not on my level in terms of how they treat and
Mm,
interact with people. When you're dealing with lawyers, sometimes they can be a
mm,
little arrogant and a little dismissive. And I'm glad I'm not in that environment anymore. So I'd say
okay,
that's it.
okay. So what would you say is what younger women could prepare better for midlife in order to work smarter so that they can retire comfortably?
Well, make sure that you're putting it socking away that money. Because once you retire and you're not getting the money that you need, focus on your savings. Focus on your retirement because if you're fortunate to live long enough, you will retire. And are you going to have the funds that you need to continue your life the way that you're used to having it? I would tell them to concentrate on that. If there's a 401k or something like that at their job, to contribute to that. That's money that's free to you. That's what I would say, because now that I'm in it and I know that I did well over the years, I can do whatever I want. I get to do the international travel because I made the decision when I was younger to contribute to my 401k, to put money away so that I could continue to live the way I want. I don't want to be old and poor, but you got to make the plans to make sure that's not your eventuality. That's what I would tell people. Concentrate on your income, concentrate on your
Awesome.
saving, concentrate on your retirement, because if you're fortunate enough to live long enough to retire, you need to be comfortable, and that's on you to do. That's what I would say,
Right, right.
I guess.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for that. Yes,
Sure.
absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna do something a little different right before our last segment, and this is gonna be
Okay.
rapid fire, just for a little
Oh.
fun round. I'm gonna just ask you like 5 questions. So whichever
Oh,
you
God.
pick your
Okay.
favorite for each one. Okay, if it was one thing that you had to do forever, would it be walking, biking, or hiking?
Walking.
Okay. Favorite place you've ever walked or explored?
Paris.
Okay. Morning or evening movement?
Evening.
Okay. One word for how you feel after a long walk.
Exhilarated. Did you hear it?
And current book or puzzle you're into. I know you said for the puzzle you're waiting for one to be delivered. So current book that you may be reading. Excuse me.
I'm reading a James Patterson book that's called Return of the Spider. So I go to the library a lot. I get books from the library, read all the time. I love James Patterson. I love legal dramas, and even though I write romance, I really don't read a lot of romance, but I like James Patterson. I like Dean Koontz, stuff like that. So that's what I'm reading right now. I just got it the other day, just started it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
My dad was just asking if we had a library in our city, and I don't know that we do. If we do, I don't know where it is. So that's interesting that you actually go to the library to get your books. That's
I
awesome.
did. I did.
I remember those days. All right. So now we're going to go into our last segment of the podcast. You've shared so much, and I truly, truly appreciate all that you shared.
Sure.
Passing the torch to the next generation. That last question was definitely passing the torch to the younger generation. What lessons from your career or life do you want most younger women to understand sooner than later?
That you really should do what you love or like. Don't get stuck into something that you don't appreciate, because life is too short. And if you're getting up every day and going to a job that you hate, that's a waste of your time, your resources. It
Absolutely.
affects your soul. So you got to do stuff that you like. Don't get stuck into something that you don't enjoy doing, and something that you're good at, because that gives you a lot more fulfillment than just going to a job, doing what you need to do. You're there too many hours a day not to love what you do and to get something out of it.
I've said every job that I left when I was stressed out, I knew it was time to go when I would sit in the parking lot in my car and cry before I went into the office. Like, yep,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
now I need to strategize my next move. What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go next? Because I refused. I know a lot of people that go to a job that they hate, and I'm just like, I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like life is, especially because you spend most of your day there. It's like, why would you be somewhere that, and so yeah, every job that I left, when I got to the point where I was crying in the parking lot, I'm like, okay, it's time to
Oh,
move on. So,
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
agree. And every job that I have has been always better the next job after. So, yep, don't stay stuck. Don't stay stuck.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
What would you say is a mindset shift or wellness hack or habit that younger people can make sure that they implement in their life to make sure that they stay mentally, physically, and spiritually well?
Well, you have to have a goal and you have to have determination. You have to know that this is really what I want to do and stick to it. It's too easy to start, stop, start, stop. Have determination. Know what you want to do and follow through. A lot of times we don't thought, we're like, well, I want to do that, but it's half hearted. You've got to commit to whatever it is that you want to do. If you say you want to do it, commit to it. be determined to follow it all the way through until there's some reason why you can't. That's what I would say.
Through
Mm,
and be consistent.
yeah, and determined
Absolutely.
because
Awesome, awesome,
there's always
awesome.
gonna yeah,
Thank you, determinate.
yeah. There's always going to be stuff that gets in your path that will distract you from your goals. But if you have that determination, those things are not going to distract you from doing what it is you say you want to do. If you really want to do it, you'll keep going. Yeah, you got
Absolutely.
to be determined because stuff
Thank you.
will come up. Yeah. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that is our concluding this episode of the Elevated Podcast. I want to know where people can find you, whether it's online or how they can actually get a hold of one of those books or all three of them.
Well, my books were on Amazon, but the last time I checked, they were all gone. And so I don't think they can get my books anymore, but I would have to double check that. I don't really have a social media presence right now.
Okay.
I am on Facebook, just as Vicki Andrews on Facebook, but I don't post a lot. That hasn't been my area of expertise. So, and I don't have Instagram, so they can't really get in touch with me.
Okay.
I need to work on that. I need to work on that. I should have my grandkids help me work on Instagram and putting some stuff because a lot of my trips and some of the beautiful pictures that I've taken all over the world would be something I think people might be
Mm-hmm.
interested in. But I need to gather that all together and figure out how to put it on social media and encourage other people to see the world. The United States, North
Absolutely.
America is not the only thing you can see. You got to go outside of this country and see how other people live, other cultures, other religions, other ways of living and thinking. Because in the US, we get
Right.
stuck, but you don't have to be stuck. There's a whole world out there. We need to go explore it.
The whole world.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there are some people that have not left the state that they're in. So to
I
even think
know.
about leaving the country is kind of difficult. But I absolutely agree. And I want to get out and see more of the world as well. Well,
You
Miss
should.
Vicki Andrews, thank you so much for being the guest on the podcast. I truly, truly
Thank
appreciate
you.
all that you shared today. Thank you. And I'm sure that the audience will love it as well. Well,
All right.
until next time, this is Coach Flo signing off. Remember to find your zone and elevate your flow.
One, two,
Peace.
three.